Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander. Sorry about that little break there. We had a lovely time at Command Fest Birmingham though. But now we are back and doing a deck tech from a legend, from a fantasy that quite frankly at this point refuses to be final. As always, if you like any of the cards you see in this video today, please make sure you make all your purchases to our lovely affiliate links in the description box below. TCG play of your Over the Pond and Magic Madhouse if you live in the country of corgis and scones. That's scones with cream first, not jam, you damned heretics. Now, let's get to it, looking at a rather hyped cat lady. Yoshitola, Knight's Blessed, is a 2/4 Vigilant Cat Warlock. You all sicken me. Who costs 1 generic mana and Esper colors and reads, at the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Yoshitola deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. Okay, so I want to play big non-creature spells, trigger the cat lady's ability to drain our opponents, hopefully twice to draw a card. Or we hurt ourselves for 4 life and then draw a card. As the ability is player, it doesn't have to be opponent. That all sounds perfectly reasonable and very doable. Let's get to it. At the Wanderlust, we've got a pair of Soul Sisters in Soul's Attendant and Soul Warden. Because if we're hurting ourselves, we'd like not to be on a too low life total. Curiosity, as our commander, does deal damage to each opponent, so that is 3 cards drawn when her ability triggers. And rounding off the Uno slots, we've got Basilisk Collar, as giving Yoshitola lifelink gives us more life from her trigger, and the Death Touch makes her a scarier blocker. The last card is Blood Chief's Ascension, a completely annoying card that we should hopefully be triggering pretty reliably, and then ruining any aristocrat player's day, or making a board wipe potentially lethal. Up to the 2 drops now, and we're an Esper wanting to be casting big spells, so you know what that means. Talisman of Hierarchy, Dominance, and Progress, which I am so happy all appear in the pre-con. It honestly makes deck building a lot easier. And with their mana ability costing a life, it makes getting to that 4 life lost for Yoshitola's trigger all the easier. And of course we are also running Arcane Signet because 3 colors is hard sometimes, and Mindstone as I always like late game card draw. Making our spells cheaper however is Baral, Chief of Compliance, as looting is also good, and Suture Priest is here to round off our trio of ETB life gainers, with the Priest also wrecking any Balin or Shatterfang player's day. We're also running both Torment of Hailfire and Grand Crescendo that both should be obviously more than 2 mana to help both keep our board safe from a board wipe, as well as make a ton of blockers, as we do not have a lot of creatures, so this little number can essentially function as a fog as well. And the Torment to, actually end the game, which I prefer over cards like Exsanguinate, as if you cast both of them for a lot of mana, yes you win the game, but the Torment always feels good even if you're casting it just for let's say 8 mana. And lastly a new card, Papalimo Tototlimo, a card whose name I'm sure I just butchered, pings each of our opponents for 1 on cast of non-creature spells, but can also be sacked to get rid of the biggest threat on each of our opponent's boards, which honestly he does a lot for 2 mana. Now on to the 3 drop slots, which is the vast majority of the deck, which you'd kind of understand considering our commander's ability, but a lot of it is, however, rather painful. Anguished Unmaking for removal along with Dismember and Toxic Deluge, all hurting us, and apart from the Unmaking, will just trigger Yoshitola immediately. Black Market Connections ensures we'll trigger our commander's ability with its plethora of abilities, with then Painful Truth and Necropotence also helping to draw some cards. The enchantment being obviously incredibly strong, which is literally not here for card draw, but basically just so we can lose the life reliably. In terms of other card draw, Frantic Search should trigger Yoshitola and then untap to keep going in that turn. Ophidian Eye, which makes the same case as Curiosity, as we can attach it to commander and draw a bunch of cards, or even the COPPA if our commander is not in the field. And Ristic Study, which normally I don't like telling people to play, but it does trigger Yoshitola, and I am looking to make this deck a bit more bracket 4 than 3, so some game changes are allowed. Now, before we get into the instant source, we've got 2 creatures to make them a bit cheaper. Haughty Djinn will hopefully be a big beater to deter any attackers, and the new Lace Hexed also makes spells cheaper, but also with prowess and potential double strike, does come off as a rather good card to synergize with. Now, onto some more non-creature spells to trigger our commander. Disallow, Fierce Guardianship, and Unwind are our counterspells in blue. The Disallow is versatile, with the Guardianship being free, and the Unwind lets us keep up more mana to cast more spells in someone else's turn. We're also running Undermine as a rather funny card, as I do like how it synergizes with the life loss. The last few cards are just general good synergies. Cabal for draining action, Hydroelectric Specimen for either a bouncer or a lightning bolt to arrow and face from the land, Midnight Clock for more mana and potential late game card draw, Savine's Reclamation for when someone is inevitably going to be killing one of our permanents, and finally Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. A lovely way to make your Sheetla's ability hurt just that much more. And of course the alternative commander from the precon itself, Graha Tia, Scion Reborn. A cat boy this time who helps massively with our life loss to trigger our general and also makes a hefty token. Token generation and life loss to get our card draw engine going. Now at the 4 drops we don't have that many life lost synergies, however we do have more non-creature spells to trigger Sheetla's other ability. That being said, Emirate Selch of the 3rd seat lets us recast a spell from the bin for 2 generic less when we are to trigger our commander essentially. Enduring Tenacity is Veto that doesn't die as easily. Fell the Profane is a rather bad kill spell at 4 mana, but when we can take 3 from the land entering it is worth it. And Snuff Out to ideally be cast by paying that 4 life to draw a card from our commander. Now, we've only got one other creature, and that's High Fae Trickster, a generally good card, yes. But since your Sheetla's ability is each end step, being able to cast something like Helm of the Ghasthound onto our commander at instant speed means you save them from a bad block, free up mana on our turn, and can trigger her ability to get that extra point of damage in if needed. Same thing for Leyline of Anticipation. The enchantment also triggers our commander if cast later, but obviously would ideally like it in our opening hand. Speaking of enchantments, Smothering Tithe is a non-creature permanent that ramps us in Esper, and yes, I am trying to justify running more game changes. The last enchantment at 4 is a new card, and I just think it's really neat. Observed Stasis is card draw and completely neuters a creature on entry. Onto our non-permanent spells. Clever Concealment can be cast for no mana to save some important permanents, Deadly Relic for removal, Rewind for an essentially free counterspell, and Turnabout, which can be used to just untap our mana rocks for a free spell and free your Sheetla trigger, or just a really annoying opponent. The last 2 cards are Primal Amulet to cheapen our spells, and then flip into a land that outright copies them. And a card I would love to be copying is Will of the Abzan. A flavor fail perhaps, but it is a reanimation and removal spell all tied into one. Now on to the top spots, and we've only got a few cards at the 5+ CMC, so I'm just going to put them all together. Archmage of Ruins is perfect for the deck, reduces cost, draws cards, is a fat booty to block with, it's just great. Jin-Kataxis also cares about non-creature spells of CMC 3 or greater, with their flip side being a back-breaking saga that, should it complete, would hopefully put us in a commanding position. Misdirection to save our commander and probably kill someone else's. Stinging Study for card draw and to trigger both of our commander's abilities. And Torrential Gearhook to cast any of our spicy instances for free from the bin. Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise for great card draw and triggering your Sheetla, and can potentially be played for only 1 or 2 mana. Penultimately, which I feel rather silly for even have to point it out and say it, Bolas's Citadel. It's card advantage, it loses its life, it's above 3 mana, it's perfect for the deck. Now, if random drain effects however just aren't your jam, then I'd also recommend Exquisite Blood, to work off either Veto or the Endurance to kill off our opponents from a single point of life change. Plus, it also triggers your Sheetla. Unfortunately, this triggers before the spell resolves. Now onto the lands for the deck, and there is definitively a theme running through them, which is how much life can I lose without dying? Pain lands are a good start, clues in the name really, a Darker Wastes, Caves of Kolios and Underground River, but that's only 1 point of damage. Fetching into a shock to then tap that Pain at, thus hitting the important 4 life requirement, now that is where it's at. Thus we are running all the shock lands that we can be in Godless Shrine, Watery Grave and Hallowed Fountain. City of Brass and Minor Confluence also help with this goal, and Cephalid Colosseum pings us for damage and can be used for card draw later on. Overall, we should utilize a bit of a unique commander here for the Drain game by casting bigger spells rather than the usual spell slinger strategy of just dropping your hand on turn 4 and hoping you've won. No, she's definitely here for a longer game. She's here for a good time and not a short time, and I appreciate that. You know, I might actually learn some of her lore to get a bit more flavour, make it a bit more Vorthos, actually get into my commander a little bit more. Let's just see here. Nope. And that'll be the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. What cards are you excited for from the upcoming Final Fantasy set? Leave them in the comments below. As always, all Affinity for Commander content is made possible thanks to the support of our amazing patrons. You guys are truly awesome. If you would like to become a patron of the channel and get access to exclusive EDH related rewards, then be sure to check out our link in the description box below. You can also support the channel through the quick and easy ways, liking this video, sharing, commenting, and hitting that bell icon. But as always, guys, that'll be it from me for now. I've been Alex, and I'll see you next time.